All right, we're here. Hello, everyone. Now I know what you're thinking. Bodies has come out this week, and you're not reviewing that, and that's a little bit weird. Twitch, I say? Yes, you are correct. It is a little bit weird. I don't know why I'm reviewing this movie. I don't know why I am. I guess it's because the nearest theater that's playing it is farther away than the one that's playing Bodies, and that's a minor inconvenience to me. So I decided to go see this at the local theater, and even though I wasn't as interested in it, by God, do I have some things to say about Mack and Rita? And we are gonna talk about it. Now, when I was going into Mack and Rita, was I expecting a phenomenal product? Of course not. This is a film that I thought would fall into the veins of something like Palms, something like Book Club, very harmless, fun times that everyone can enjoy, and you can take your mom and you can take your grandma, and it's a really, really good time. That is not at all what Mack and Rita is. Mack and Rita is low-key insane. Let's start with the positive. That's right, I said positive, because there's only one good thing about this movie, and it is some of the supporting performances. Those being Taylour Paige, who ever since she was in Zola, I have been an advocate for Taylour Paige to be in basically every single thing that exists. She was so good in that, and her charisma carries over to a more mainstream focused film, and she was really great in this. Another performance that I enjoyed in this was Loretta Devine. Loretta Devine just has such a nurturing spirit about her that she's able to play that role so perfectly in the films that she stars in, where she's cast as that role, and she just has wonderful charisma, just like Taylour Paige. She is fantastic in this as the kind of mom, grandma, best friend thing. She's wonderful. Absolutely adore her in this. Also, the actual romantic interest in this, Dustin Mulligan, did really good at portraying a quirky guy who's not annoying, and we'll get into that later because that's a part of this movie. His character is 40, and he's kind of not grown up, but he's also just his own entity, and he does a really good job of being, charming, and that's really hard to find in leading men nowadays, is leading men that are charming, and he really is. And then finally, there's a little cameo in the film on a couple occasions from Simon Rex, who is just funny, and he provides the only genuine good humor in the film. And so that is literally all that I can say positively about the film, which should tell you something. Let's talk about the plethora of negatives that Mack and Rita has to offer. I guess the first thing that we can talk about is essentially what the film hinges on. The internal conflict, the crux of that is that Mack, who is the younger version of Rita, she turns into a 70-year-old woman. Her whole thing is she loves her Grammy. She loved her Grammy. She had such a style about her. She wants to be old. And Mack constantly feels like she is getting ostracized and for her beliefs, and she doesn't fit in with the popular crowd, essentially. Which, what are we in high school, first of all? Second of all, you don't want to be old. Her whole thing is that she wishes that she was a 70-year-old who could do whatever she wants and express herself in the way that she wants. You don't want to be old. You just want to be an indie girl. The aesthetic that you have around this film, you would not get ostracized for. That's like the thing now. The thing in like millennial / older Gen Z culture is literally cottagecore, basically, which is what you look like. You would not be, frowned upon in any way whatsoever. You would probably be very popular on Instagram, which is a whole thing where, Rita gets popular on Instagram later on in the film. It's a whole thing. But she is this insufferable person who's, oh, I don't fit in. And in all actuality, I'm actually a bad person because my whole thing is that I can't stand at like a brunch for my best friend's bachelorette party for like an hour. I can't do the things that they want to do and put up for it for like a day. She can't support her friend for a day by doing things that she doesn't like. That doesn't mean that you don't fit in. That means you are actively being a bad friend. Sure, maybe a Bad Bunny concert, which is what they're talking about, isn't your scene, but you do it for your friend. And then later on in the film, Taylour Paige, who is the friend, confronts her and she's like, the one thing is we were always there for each other. And it's like, clearly you weren't. At the beginning of the film, you weren't there for her. Listen, I'm also, unfortunately, a homebody with retro tastes. But if my friends want to go do something, if they wanted to go to a Bad Bunny concert for one of their bachelor parties, I'm going to go and support them because that's being a good friend. You can't use the excuse of, actually, I wish I could be the old ladies over there. They are so relaxed and this is just so much. To be honest with you, it's not even really like that as much anymore in millennial, older Gen Z culture. So it's a little bit ridiculous. And then she goes, and I know I'm not trying to make this a plot synopsis, but you really need to understand how absolutely horrid this person is. She goes, and this is another problem that I have with the film. She goes into this thing, this like little pop-up thing in the middle, and she goes into this like really old tanning bed, and she turns into a 70-year-old Diane Keaton, or 60-year-old Diane Keaton. I can't remember how old she's supposed to be. In her old thing, when she's in there and she's like, I wish I was an older woman, a 60-year-old woman who didn't have to care about when she had to go to sleep or things like that and could just do whatever she wants. So we're setting it up as, oh my God, she loves, the idea of being old, and she respects the culture that comes around it. And then immediately after she completes the transformation, she goes up and she's like, oh my God, my hair is all gray, my boobs are saggy, this is so awful. And I really hate that because you, in a way, even though you're trying to be anti-ageist, you're just coming around and being ageist again. It's very, very, I think it's gross. And throughout the film, there's that sentiment. It's like, oh no, you didn't want to be old. You just wanted to be yourself, which is true. But then she's acting like looking the way that she does is horrible. I miss when my boobs were perky. And it's so frustrating. I can't believe that in a film that is aimed for a certain audience, you are actively working against that specific audience. It's just really, really nuts to me. Another shocking negative about this film is how incompetent and unexperienced the team behind the camera is. The crew, if you will. The director of this film is Katie Aselton. She has done 2 films before this, but she's primarily an actor, and she's a very, very good actor. She is in films like Creep, The Gift, She Dies Tomorrow, all very, very good films. And Katie Aselton is the main person in Creep, and I think she's married to a Duplass brother. So she's really good in films. She is a horrible director, absolutely no vision whatsoever. And then I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God, she can't write either. This screenplay is just horrendous, which we will get to later. Wrong, it's not her. This script is written by 2 first-time writers who have only ever done acting in really, really low-budget films. One of them is named Paul Welsh, who did a film called See You Next Christmas, which has 102 views on Letterboxd. And my review is the number 2 review of that film, and it says, I think I'm starting to hate Christmas. It is awful. He's awful in it. The movie is terrible, and I can't believe that these 2 actors who have absolutely no writing experience managed to just saunter their way into a nationwide release. And it makes sense. The dialogue in this, don't even get me started. I will say, just to start off, the dialogue is just bad. The dialogue is just weird and bad and not good and not smooth. It's very rough, it's very choppy, it just does not work at all. But the subsection of that I want to talk about specifically, because we have been continuously having this problem in films that I've talked about on this channel, is once again, actually not on this channel, this is in regards to a review that I did on my Patreon of Not Okay. We are never, I guess we're just never going to get a film that properly knows the lingo and the dialect and how the internet actually works. There's a manager character in this who just spouts off basic ass nothingness about social media and Instagram and like, oh, you were a writer. No one reads books anymore. They all have Instagram posts and you need to post bomba socks on your Instagram to make yourself relevant. And my thing is, it's constantly in this film, nobody talks like that. Even if you are if you have a villain, you can make them talk realistically and not going over the top into just a complete Gen Z mumbo jumbo. You know what I mean? Just putting words together for the sake of putting words together because they are like, trigger words, like pop word, like I can't think of the exact term, but you know what I mean. The dialogue in this is just horrible. It's so poorly written, and you know what? Everybody in this cast really does their job, except Diane Keaton is awful. Maybe it's because her character is awful, but I thought her performance was just really bad. And I am someone who generally does not like Diane Keaton, but I'm even willing to admit that this is just a low for her, and she generally does relatively okay in a lot of her generic rom-com roles. Mack and Rita is bad. Mack and Rita is stupid. Mack and Rita is incompetent, and most importantly, Mack and Rita is a little bit ageist and kind of offensive in that way. At least I found it that way. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I am going to give Mack and Rita a 2 out of 10. Yeah, I know I can't add the way that I talk about this film and the way that I feel about this film is a 1 out of 10. But it would be a disservice of me to give it a 1 out of 10 because some of the supporting roles are really charismatic, really charming, really enjoyable to watch. So ultimately, I can't give it a 1 out of 10 as much as I wanted to. Do not go watch this. It's rancid, it sucks really bad, and it's just weird too. So that will be it for this review. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Next up, I'm going to be having a Neo Jesus video and a surprise end of a trilogy. If you know what that means, you know what that means. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.